Welcome back to Stamps Old World Us, your ultimate destination for exploring the rich history, rare varieties, and market values of classic philately. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most iconic and historically significant postage stamps from American postal history, the 1861 1-cent blue Benjamin Franklin issue. Officially cataloged by collectors as Scott number 63, released during one of the most tumultuous eras in American history, the onset of the American Civil War. This classic blue stamp carries a fascinating story of wartime necessity, artistic detail, and lasting value for collectors around the globe. To understand the value and importance of this stamp today, we must first look at why it was created in 1861. Prior to this issue, older United States postage stamps were still in circulation, but when the Civil War broke out, federal officials feared that Southern post offices held vast inventories of valid Union postage stamps that could be sold to raise funds for the Confederacy. To stop this from happening, the United States Post Office Department completely demonetized all existing postage stamps issued before 1861, declaring them invalid for postage. A brand new series of stamps was commissioned, manufactured by the National Banknote Company in New York, featuring fresh designs and distinct security features. The 1-cent blue Benjamin Franklin was the very first denomination in this critical new wartime series. The visual design of this stamp is a triumph of 19th-century steel engraving. The central vignette showcases a refined profile portrait of Benjamin Franklin facing right, surrounded by an oval border of intricate engine-turned-lathe work. The portrait was modeled after the famous marble bust sculpted by Jean-Antoine Houdon. Framing the central portrait, the text at the top proudly reads U.S. postage, while the bottom border reads 1 cent. In the upper left and upper right corners, the numeral 1 is delicately placed within scrollwork, while the bottom corners feature the letters U and S, printed in various shades of blue on perforated paper with standard 12-gauge perforations. This stamp stands as an enduring masterpiece of classic American banknote printing during the 1860s. A single penny held substantial purchasing power, and this 1-cent stamp served very specific postal duties across the country. It was primarily used to prepay postage on drop letters mail deposited at a local post office for delivery within the same city or town without requiring long-distance transportation. It was also heavily utilized to pay for circulars, unsealed newspapers, period advertising, and local letter carrier delivery fees. Because millions of these stamps were produced to handle daily commercial correspondence throughout the war years, many examples survived in historical archives, business records, and family collections. An intriguing aspect of this stamp's history is its role during the severe wartime coin shortages of 1862. As citizens hoarded gold, silver, and copper coins during the war, small change disappeared from daily commerce. To solve this crisis, an entrepreneur named John Galt patented encased postage, placing 1-cent Franklin stamps inside small brass frames with transparent mica fronts so they could circulate as physical coins. Today, an original encased stamp from this era is a prized artifact that commands premium prices among specialized Civil War and numismatic collectors when evaluating the market value of the Scott number 63 1-cent blue Benjamin Franklin stamp today. Several key factors come into play, including condition, centering, gum quality, and cancellation type. For a standard used copy with average centering and minor imperfections, current market value typically ranges from $10 to $30. A well-centered used example with clean perforations, rich blue color, and a neat postal cancel usually sells between $50 and $100 on today's market. Used stamps featuring rare colored cancellations such as green, magenta, or blue ink or unusual fancy cancels can easily command prices upwards of $150 to $300 for collectors seeking unused or mint examples. The market value increases significantly. An unused copy with hinge marks and light original gum generally trades in the range of $100 to $200 depending on centering and eye appeal. A pristine, mint never-hinged example boasting full original gum, rich original color, and strong perforation starts around $350 and can reach $550 or more. Exceptional, top-tier graded specimens in mint, extremely fine condition have historically achieved auction records well over $1,500. Whether you are an experienced philatelist or just starting to build your collection, The 1861 1-cent blue Benjamin Franklin stamp is an essential cornerstone of 19th-century American philately. Its direct connection to the Civil War, beautiful banknote engraving, and accessible price points make it a rewarding piece of history to study and own. Next up, the 1920 2-pence green map of Ireland stamp, widely recognized by philatelists as the very first definitive postage stamp issued by an independent Irish government. Catalogued by collectors as Scott No. 68 and Stanley Gibbons SG 74. This classic issue symbolizes the birth of the Irish Free State and remains a favorite item among world stamp collectors. To fully appreciate the historical importance of this 2-pence green stamp, we have to look back at the dramatic political shifts taking place in Ireland during the early 1920s, following the Anglo-Irish Treaty and the creation of the Provisional Government in early 1922. Irish postal authorities initially used existing British stamps featuring King George V, overprinting them in Irish text to assert national authority. However, plans were immediately put in place to design and print Ireland's own distinct postage stamps. On December 6, 1922, the official day the Irish Free State came into existence, this iconic 2-pence map stamp was formally released to the public, marking a monumental milestone in Irish independence. The design of the stamp, created by Dublin craftsman James Ingram, carries powerful political and national symbolism. The central graphic features a detailed map of the island of Ireland, surrounded by an arch inspired by traditional Celtic architecture and intricate Gaelic interlace artwork. At the top of the arch, the word eire is proudly displayed in traditional Celtic typography. Beneath the central map, the face value is written as 2d pingin, which translates to 2 pence in the Irish language, flanked by the numeral 2 on both lower corners. Notably, the map depicts the entire geographic island, reflecting the historical ambitions and political identity of the newly formed state during a pivotal period in world history. Printed in a striking deep green shade by Dollard Printing House and later by government printers in Dublin, this 2-pence denomination became the workhorse of the Irish postal system. It was issued in massive quantities because 2 pence was the exact standard domestic rate for a basic first-class letter at the time. As a result, millions of these stamps passed through post offices across the nation on daily letters, commercial documents, and postcards throughout the 1920s and beyond, making it one of the most recognizable designs in early Irish philately. When examining the market value of the 1920 2-pence green map of Ireland stamp today, prices in US dollars depend heavily on condition, perforation cleanliness, watermark orientation, and whether the stamp is used or unused. Because this was a widely used everyday stamp, standard used examples with typical postmarks and average centering are very affordable on the modern market, generally selling between $1 and $3. Well-centered used copies displaying exceptionally neat, light postmarks or clear circular town cancels typically trade between $5 and $10. For collectors interested in unused and mint specimens, values increase moderately based on gum condition. An unused copy with light hinge marks and original gum normally commands between $3 and $8. A pristine, mint never hinged example featuring full original gum and sharp, undamaged perforations typically sells in the range of $10 to $25 on today's market. Premium graded examples with exceptional centering and pristine color can occasionally fetch $30 or more at specialized philatelic auctions. In addition to standard examples, advanced collectors often search for specialized varieties that carry higher market premiums. These include stamps printed on watermarked paper with inverted or sideways watermarks, dramatic color shades ranging from dark green to olive green, and rare postal covers featuring early December 1920 to usage dates. Such specialty items and historical covers can range anywhere from $50 to over $200 depending on rarity and historical documentation. The 1920 2-pence green map of Ireland stamp remains an affordable, historical, and visual treasure that belongs in every serious collection of world stamps. It represents a defining bridge between British colonial administration and the rise of a modern independent nation. Next up, the 1927 cent Carmine red Vermont Sesquicentennial stamp, recognized by philatelists as Scott No. 643, issued to mark the 150th anniversary of Vermont's independence and the historic Revolutionary War Battle of Bennington. This vibrant release captures a vital chapter of early American military history. To understand the background of this 2-cent stamp, we look back to the summer of 1927, when the United States Post Office Department was releasing a series of commemorative stamps honoring key battle victories of the Revolutionary War. On August 3, 1927, this stamp was officially issued, with first-day sales taking place in Bennington, Vermont, as well as in Washington, D.C. The issue commemorated the 1777 Battle of Bennington, where American forces, heavily comprised of local militia fighters, scored a decisive victory against British and German forces, turning the tide of war in the Northern Theater. The central design of the stamp features a standing rifleman representing a Green Mountain Boy, the famous colonial militia established in the Green Mountains of Vermont. Dressed in rugged frontier attire with a powder horn slung across his chest and holding his long rifle, the rifleman stands proudly against a backdrop of trees. The top banner of the stamp displays the words Vermont Sesquicentennial, flanked by the historical dates 1777 and 1927. Beneath the arched header, U.S. postage is prominently displayed, while a side scroll bears the city name Bennington. The lower corners showcase large circular frames containing the face value of 2 cents, printed in a striking Carmine rose shade, using the flat plate printing process with gauge 11 perforations. Nearly 40 million copies of Scott number 643 were produced by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, because 2 cents was the standard rate for mailing a domestic first-class letter at the time. Millions of these stamps were used on daily correspondence throughout 1927 and 1928. Making them widely available to collectors today. When analyzing the modern market value of the 1927 Vermont Sesquicentennial stamp in US dollars, current valuations depend primarily on centering, gum condition, and preservation quality. A standard used copy with average centering and typical postal cancellations is very affordable, generally trading between $1 and $2.50. An exceptionally well-centered used example with a crisp, light, circular postmark can reach $3 to $5 on today's market. For collectors collecting unused and mint specimens, prices remain accessible while showing strong appeal for quality. An unused, lightly hinged copy with clean original gum generally sells between $2 and $4. A pristine, mint never hinged example featuring full original gum, rich Carmine color, and sharp perforations typically commands between $4 and $8. Premium graded specimens with super clean centering or rare first-day postmarks dated August 3, 1927 can fetch anywhere from $15 to $30. Specialized items, such as mint plate blocks of 4, usually sell in the range of $35 to $50, while full intact mint sheets can easily reach several $100s at specialized auctions. The 1927 2-cent Vermont Sesquicentennial stamp remains an attractive, historic, and highly collectible piece of classic American philately. Its dramatic Revolutionary War imagery and rich historical background make it a standout addition to any collection of United States postage stamps. Next up, the legendary 1847 1-penny red-orange Mauritius post office stamp, catalogued globally by philatelists as Stanley Gibbons SG1 and Scott No. 1, issued by the British Crown Colony of Mauritius. This imperforate classic is widely celebrated as the first postage stamp issued anywhere in the British Empire outside of Great Britain itself, making it a cornerstone of international philately and world history. To fully grasp the legendary status and immense value of this stamp today, we must journey back to September 1847 on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. Lady Elizabeth Gaume, wife of the British governor Sir William Maynard Gaume, was preparing invitations for a grand costume ball at Government House in Port Louis. Wanting to send these invitations in style, she encouraged the local postal service to issue official prepaid postage stamps. A local watchmaker and engraver named Joseph Osman Barnard was hired to engrave the copper printing plates for both a 1-penny red-orange stamp and a 2-pence deep blue stamp. Barnard hand-engraved each image individually on a single copper plate, producing only 500 copies of each denomination in the original printing run. The iconic design features the side profile of young Queen Victoria facing left, modeled closely after the famous British penny black of 1840. The word postage is engraved prominently across the top border, while the bottom border reads 1 penny. The right border proudly displays the colony name Mauritius. and the top and bottom corners feature delicate stars and crosses. However, the true legend of this issue lies in the left border, which reads Post Office. According to famous philatelic lore, engraver Joseph Barnard made a mistake and mistakenly inscribed Post Office instead of Post Paid, while some historians argue that Post Office was intentional for the central office in Port Louis. Subsequent issues were quickly revised to read Post Paid, forever cementing these original 1847 printings as the famous Post Office Mauritius eire stamps out of the original 500 copies of the 1-penny red-orange printed in 1847. Only 15 examples are known to survive in existence today, making it one of the rarest, most coveted physical objects on Earth. Most surviving copies are permanently housed in royal archives, museum institutions, and prestigious private collections, because these stamps were created to mail Lady Gom's ball invitations. A significant portion of the surviving used examples remain affixed to original courtly envelopes, known in philately as the famous ball covers. When examining the modern market value of the 1847 1-penny red-orange Mauritius Post Office stamp in US dollars, we are looking at extraordinary auction figures that rank among the highest prices ever paid for collectible items. Individual single stamps, whether used or unused, rarely come up for auction, but when they do, valuations easily exceed $1 million to $3 million US dollars depending on margin size, clarity of impression, and historical provenance. Unused examples with intact margins and brilliant original color are valued even higher, fetching between $4 million and $6 million US dollars on the private market. The ultimate value peak for this stamp occurs when it remains attached to an intact 1847 cover. In historic public auctions, original Mauritius Post Office covers have achieved eye-watering sales prices exceeding $8 million to $10 million US dollars, solidifying their status alongside artwork by Leonardo da Vinci and priceless historical artifacts. Even high-quality modern reproductions, official commemorative reprints, and museum-grade facsimiles command respectable prices among specialized history enthusiasts who wish to own a representation of this iconic stamp. The 1847 1-penny red-orange Mauritius Post Office stamp represents the ultimate pinnacle of rarity, political history, and philatelic prestige. Its timeless beauty, famous engraving story, and legendary auction history make it an enduring symbol of wealth and historical preservation. Thank you for watching this detailed breakdown on Stamps Old World US. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on this multi-million-dollar masterpiece.